Hi everybody, welcome in. If this is your first video with us, welcome back if it is not. Either way, we are so excited that you're here and really grateful you've decided to spend just a little bit of your day with us today. Today is a new type of video and it's a really special one, of course, because Mike is joining us again. We always love when Mike comes back. And this is a really fun one because this video was Mike's idea. So very excited that Mike planned this video, Mike came up with the idea, and that Mike is joining us to do it. So if you're ready to learn about our least favorite MCU casting choices, let's just get started, shall we? I'm Rachel.
I'm Mike.
And this is Attainable Disney. This video was Mike's idea, so we're very excited to do it. We have decided we're going to make some people mad today. We're just going to throw out some controversial opinions, and we're going to discuss them, and it's going to be great. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, the topic of today's video is going to be our opinions on the worst MCU casting choices. We thought this would be interesting because I feel like casting is something that the Marvel world does so well, right? I mean, it's incredible. I mean, really, they are so skilled at it, right? I mean, the team does such a good job. However, nobody's perfect, right? So I just think it's an interesting topic, right? I think it's gonna ruffle some feathers. What do you think, Mike?
Agreed.
So, here's how we're gonna play this. We each picked our top 3 worst casting choices within the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We ranked them 3, 2, 1. We had a neutral third party compare the list to make sure that there was not too much overlap or the video would be boring. When we get to the top one, we're going to play a special game where we're going to try to guess each other's top 1 just because we're married and I think that I know what my husband's going to pick.
And vice versa.
Right? Mm-hmm. So it'll be fun. Without further ado. So, Mike, what is your number 3 choice for worst MCU casting choice? Now, by the way, I don't know these, right? These are surprise. Like I said, we had a neutral third party compare these lists, so we don't know what each other picked. So this is blind, unresearched discussion. So, you know.
Well, just to reiterate, this was difficult because
Sure.
The casting in the MCU is great.
It's true.
But there are some things you can nitpick. So my third bad casting choice is the actress Letitia Wright as Shuri.
Oh, I know why you said this, and I'm going to disagree, but go.
It matters the chemistry with the character and how the audience feels about the actor, the energy. I just feel that Letitia Wright just came off as unlikable. And I'm talking about Black Panther, I'm talking about Avengers, Endgame, and Infinity War. Yeah, it's just... I could also speculate about the sequel to Black Panther, but that would be speculation. And I have thoughts about that with, you know, all the stuff that everyone's talking about. But I won't get into that because we don't know yet. But, yeah, I mean, you could argue, I think, you know, your argument might be, what I'm anticipating is that her character is supposed to be a little bit unlikable or abrasive, snarky, kind of like a young kid version of Tony Stark, you know, the kid genius. So I get that, but yeah, just rubs me the wrong way. Just, It's hard to put my finger on it. Just the chemistry's not there for me, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I hear you. I think you make valid points. I think for me, I don't know if I understand the character well enough to know if it's just the character or if it is the actress, but I do think that that is the way the character is supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's the way that if it is the actress, if it is the casting, or if it is just the character. Right, like I don't have enough of an understanding of the character like in the comics or anything, but yeah.
Well, let's just be also, they take a lot of liberties with the comic book characters. They're not
That's true.
exactly the same as they are in the comics.
Sure.
So there's dramatic choices made.
Yeah, I hear you.
But yeah, I also, and you know, I agree as well. It could be that the character was written that way, and not every good guy character has to be likable.
Yeah.
Or charismatic as much as the other characters. However, she just always stood out to me as like a kind of a casting choice. It's also the character too, but just doesn't work for me.
All right, so my number 3 is Lee Pace as Ronan the Accuser.
Oh, the guy with the makeup and the hood. Yeah, he's terrible.
Isn't he though?
And is that the actor's fault or the character's? The character is just such a ridiculously evil. Like there's no nuance. There's no one of the lamest villains in the MCU.
Yes. So I have made mention before that I feel like Ronan is such a lame bad guy and is like, I don't find him like intimidating at all. Like I feel like he's just.
And the actor, I wouldn't even know who that is.
Okay.
So in other words, he made no impression as an actor in the role. So he didn't transcend the character. So
yeah. So I find Ronan not to be like a very scary bad guy. Mm-hmm. He talks in this low voice and he wears this big helmet and he but like in the general sense, like I just don't find him to be. I cannot move past the fact that he was outsmarted by a dance-off. He will forever be ruined by the fact that he was outsmarted by a dance-off. I can't move past that ever at all. But he really tries to be a big scary bad guy, right? With his big scary costume and his big scary voice and his big scary facial, like resting bitch face. Like he really, really tries. But he was outsmarted by a dance-off. And the actor is a goofball. Like I associate Lee Pace with silly.
What was he in?
I don't know. I associate him with comedy roles, like I don't know, Pushing Up Daisies. Like I don't like.
Oh, I never watched that show.
Yeah, like he's like a silly guy. So like I don't know. I just always think of like that interaction with Ronan and Nebula on the ship where she's like, "Yes, brother," and I'm just like, "Oh my god, you guys are such goofballs." Like I don't know, it's just too much. Mm-hmm. It's too much. And I do know that Ronan was played by another actor
in Captain Marvel.
Yeah. So like,
you can't even tell with all the makeup.
Exactly. So like, it gets a little blurry or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I feel like if I remember correctly, Lee Pace was in the running for Star-Lord.
Oh.
And it didn't work out. He didn't make it, obviously. So this was like a
consolation prize.
Right. What? I mean, that's just like not even like relevant. I don't know. So it's just like, and it is one of those things that is distracting to me to know that sort of under all of that scary armor and scary voice is this like goofball.
And see, I have none of that because I didn't know who the actor was and didn't recognize him from anything, and still felt nothing, no menace, no
right,
fear,
exactly, yeah,
nothing like whoa, this is a scary nothing.
Yeah, because he's not
lame.
He is not a scary or intimidating guy. Yeah. So like, even with all of the.
Yeah, he's got the physical, he's like big stature and muscular, but it doesn't matter.
He's not even muscular.
He's not? Well, they made him look like he was.
He's tall, but he's not.
Oh, he didn't get jacked up for that movie?
He's not even muscular. No, I mean, Ronan just has a lot of...
It's the armor. Oh,
he just has, like, a lot of suit.
Right.
I'm curious to know how much Lee Pace, like, made to play that character. I always feel like, could they have given that to, like, a nobody actor who just has, like, a more intimidating stance and voice and paid him, you know, half of what they paid Lee Pace and, like, change that guy's life? Like, do we have to just, like, keep giving roles to, like, famous rich people? Do you know what I'm saying?
And maybe it was a thing. We're joking, but maybe it was the casting director feeling sorry that he didn't get Star-Lord and was like, well, and who knows? People do things like that. So
yeah, I guess I just feel like someone who is being considered for the character of Star-Lord, right? The goofiest, right? I mean, the goofiest superhero, to then being cast as Ronan the Accuser, right? This
makes no sense.
It just does not add up for me.
Does not compute.
Does not add up for me. So it is just one of those things that is distracting, and every time he comes on screen, I'm just like, dance off, bro. I don't know. It's like I can't move on. I can't move on. All right, so Mike, what's your number 2?
Number 2. This one's sort of... I'm curious to hear what people want to say about this.
Yep.
Samuel L. Jackson is Nick Fury. There's the face. See the look there.
Yeah.
Now this one's complex because it is number 2. It's pretty up there, obviously.
Okay.
Samuel L. Jackson I like as an actor. However, I liked him more in the 1980s and 1990s. I'm old enough to remember his movies. And then it seems like after Pulp Fiction, he kind of became typecast either by his choice or the roles he chose as like this brash, cussing, very strong, take charge kind of. In so many of his roles are like that. It pops in my head as Snakes on a Plane.
That's what. Yeah.
I mean, so and he did so many roles. He's been in a million movies at this point. But Samuel Jackson just is Samuel Jackson. It's not any kind of Nick Fury or any kind of character. It's just Samuel Jackson. When you see him at the end credit scene of the first Iron Man, you're like, oh, Samuel Jackson. They cast Samuel Jackson. He's Samuel Jackson.
Yep.
So
yeah.
And again, I like Samuel Jackson, but it's not a I think they would have been better with an unknown or a more. I don't know who they should have cast. I'm not a casting director, but don't like the choice.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, I understand. And it's one of those things, he is so ubiquitous. At this point, it is hard for me to imagine someone else in that role, right?
Well, he's been in 20 MCU movies.
Yeah, like it's hard for me, right? I mean, he is so like woven throughout the fabric. It's hard for me to even like conceptualize someone else in it, but
right.
I absolutely understand. I totally agree with what you're saying, is that there isn't a lot of nuance, there isn't a lot of he just plays Samuel Jackson. He just has the one character and he plays in every movie and you get what you get. And I don't know, I mean, if that's what they were going for, then like A+, right? I mean, they got it. But it is a little cartoonish. Here's a question I have. Star Wars exists in the MCU.
Mace Windu. That's his character in Star Wars. By the way, he's Samuel L. Jackson in Star Wars too.
Right.
Yeah, but he does not transcend as any kind of different.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Mace Windu as Samuel L. Jackson, basically. So.
Right, but Star Wars exists in the MCU, right?
Yeah,
they talk about it, so like,
sure,
make that make sense.
There's so many. Every actor in Hollywood has been in a Marvel movie at this point, so there's going to be overlap, So that's the way I look at it.
Okay. And I think maybe when we were talking phase 1, Iron Man in a cave, slaving away, making, my suit in a cave in Afghanistan, big guns, Cap coming down on a ship. Like, I don't know, maybe that like sort of caricature sort of way made sense, but I feel like the way that things are going now and the writing and the way, I don't know, I don't know if that sort of,
you're saying it's more nuanced?
yeah, I feel like it's,
okay.
I feel like the filmmaking and the acting and the writing is really elevated and has really changed.
Whereas he is a cartoon.
Right. I don't think it's as clunky and like, you know, guys with big guns anymore, right?
And eye patches.
Exactly. I feel like it's elevated. I feel like it's changed. I feel like it's evolved.
You know, it's actually occurring to me now. I didn't think of this. But as you're saying this, it's funny. In Captain Marvel, it was kind of shades of Samuel L. Jackson, and it takes place in the 1990s, of him becoming Samuel L. Jackson. Like, he was different in Captain Marvel. He was more fun, and he was just different. He wasn't just the stern, I'm Nick Fury. It was a more complex, I don't know, that just kind of struck me right now. That just came to me now, so I don't know if there's anything there, but...
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, he was de-aged, so it's like, it reminds you of...
Yeah.
Yeah. He didn't look that young with the de-aging. They didn't do a great job, but, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what we think about as like superhero movies and what we think about as Marvel movies has changed and evolved, right? We've got some really skilled kind of actors who are really taking it to a new place, right? Tom Hiddleston, Elizabeth Olsen, right? Like, I don't know, just some like really, really high quality actors.
Yes.
Yeah, I like it. I like it.
Thank
Controversial. Let's hurt some feelings, you know?
Number 2 for you.
All right, number 2 for me is James Spader as Ultron.
Oh, go on.
So, this for me it's too recognizable. It's too recognizable. Every time Ultron talks, all I hear is, Jim, what does your daughter think about the street? The Sesame Street? All I hear is, they haven't really improved on the Oreo, have they? Like,
The Office, right?
All I hear is Robert California. I am so tired of Black Eyed Peas. Like, all I hear is Robert California. James Spader as Robert California, like, just so much of that character was that voice delivery, right? Was that, like, super smooth, like, super confident, like, delivery. So, like, Ultron, that is 100% voice, right? Like, that's just all I hear, and it takes me out of it, right? Like, it just takes me out of it.
I'm coming at this from a different... I like The Office, but I never really watched it religiously like a lot of people do. I know, you know, it's a great show, and I know people love it. I just wasn't really into it, but and I know he was on there. There was a bunch of cast, like, cameo kind of. Anyway, again, because I'm older, I remember James Spader from the 80s, and he was, that's when he had hair, and he would, you know, he's bald now, basically, but whatever. He played yuppie characters, like Wall Street yuppies, like really, I'm not going to do an impression, but, so he's really coming, now he's on that, what is it called, the Blacklist and all that, and he's like very, I come at it this way, I think he has a great voice. I thought Ultron, whatever, I don't know if it was his choice to make Ultron, you know, funny in that, you know, very dark way. I thought it was great. I thought it was a great casting choice. So I have to disagree with that one. Which,
you know, is okay. I just think it's, I mean, as someone who watches The Office a lot.
So, yeah.
You know, it just, it just takes me out of it, you know, and I just think, so much, you know, Robert California as a character is very stoic, very straight-faced, very flat, very plain. Like, he dresses very plain, he looks very plain, he sits very plain, and then he just, like, says ridiculous stuff.
So you feel that's how Ultron was?
No.
Okay.
No. What I'm saying is that's how Robert California was. Is it was all voice. Right. He wasn't this big animated character, right? Like, he wasn't so whatever, I don't want to talk about The Office too much, but like he replaced Michael Scott, who was this big animated physical character who fell, right? I mean, lots of like physical comedy, right? So Robert California was the opposite of that, this like reserved, sat in a chair, and he just would deliver this. Jim, what does your daughter Cecilia think about the street, the Sesame Street?
Jim, your daughter Cecilia, what does she think of the street?
The street.
Sesame Street.
Oh.
Right, like he would just like say these like ridiculous things. It was all this voice delivery.
Do you see my point though that he has charisma and he has physically a great voice?
Yes, right, and that's a thing that he does, right? That's why he was great for that role as Robert California. I mean, that's why he was great for that.
You can't get past Robert
I
California.
can't get past it.
Yeah,
That's it. I can't get past that. When he starts talking like as Ultron and like, you know, him and Jarvis are like talking to each other, I'm like,
Robert California.
oh, I'm like, we're at the pool party. Like, oh, Robert California's like, it just takes me out of the movie.
Sure.
It's too recognizable.
So, right.
And it's nice, like, you want something that's familiar so that you feel sort of emotionally connected, but not so familiar that it's distracting. And for me, James Spader's voice was just too, it was so familiar that it was distracting.
I see your point.
You know, I think for Ultron, who like for a large portion of it was, not a large portion, but like for the, you know, that first sort of introduction was just this like voice or this like bodiless concept. Yeah, I mean, you have to have a strong voice to go with it, but I just think it was, you know, it was.
It's tough because if you're trying to find someone with a good voice or charisma, like unless you're a fresh new discovery for the casting director, they've already done stuff and they have already been associated with stuff and roles and characters. But
I wanted it familiar so that you feel you know, connected, but not so familiar that you feel distracted, and I felt distracted.
Fair enough.
That's how I felt, right?
I see your point.
I just... Jim, your daughter Cecilia, what does she think about the street? The Sesame Street. So before we do our number ones, do we want to do honorable mentions? Do you have any honorable mentions, Michael?
I do, but they weren't allowed in because they're not... I think they're MCU. I mean, of course, I'm talking about Edward Norton as the second Hulk. You know, the first one was Eric Bana in 2003 and Hulk. I really dislike Edward Norton as a character. I mean, as his interpretation of Bruce Banner as an actor, I'm not really fond of him, even though he thinks that he's a big character actor, or he sees himself. I don't know, whatever. I thought he was a very poor choice for the Hulk. Why they cast him made no sense to me.
My honorable mention was every single person in the Eternals. So, well, not every single person. Okay. My honorable mention was Angelina Jolie, Salma Hayek, Richard Madden, like everyone in the Eternals. Oh my God, Harry Styles in the Eternals. Oh my God, I could vomit. And I like Harry Styles. I mean, I have no like, I mean, I don't like love Harry Styles, but I mean like whatever. Like, what? Patton Oswalt as that like the little thing at the end, Harry Styles' little friend or whatever at the end.
Oh, wow.
Like, what? I just feel like it was just what I was saying about James Spader, right? Like, too many, like, too famous people. Like, I was like, oh, there's Angelina. Oh, there's Salma Hayek, right? Like, it just was too much. It was so distracting. Angelina Jolie's like the most famous person in the world. And I'm supposed to believe that she's being weighed down by the weight of her memories and, like, can't function. Like, get out of here. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we each have... We're going to write down what we think the other person's number one answer is.
Okay.
Then...
In big letters so we can...
So we can do this, right?
All right, so I got a...
So, like, You tell us what your number one is.
Okay.
Get ready to hurt some feelings.
Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark, Iron Man. Yeah. That's right.
On what planet?
Mm-hmm. I'm going way back to 2007 when he's announced at Comic-Con, I guess it was, with Jon Favreau. And I remember just going like, what? And Robert Downey Jr., I know this is a theme with me, but he used to be more of a character. He was a character actor in the 80s and 90s. And then he just became, I don't know, he kind of just became Robert Downey Jr. and it was hard to see him as anything else. Because he does fit the bill when it comes to, I guess, Iron Man, Tony Stark. I didn't read Iron Man comics, but if they wanted to go for a snarky narcissist jerk who then evolves later on, but even the evolving, I didn't really, as the years go by and he's a good guy, didn't really believe it. I still saw him as a narcissist, and I know people, that's controversial because he's a billionaire now or whatever he is, and people, obviously I'm in the very small minority of the public because he's beloved as Iron Man, and I'm sure people would argue he made the MCU, Iron Man, first MCU, all that stuff. But yeah, gotta say it, never liked Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man as a choice. Wouldn't have cast him if it was up to me. So, yeah, that's what I got to say about that. Your thoughts?
I can't comment.
Mm-hmm.
That's
sacrilege.
Absurd.
It's blasphemous, I know. Look, I told you. Mine was going to blow away everyone. Well, you. Bradley Cooper's Rocket. Interesting. I thought about that. I don't like Bradley Cooper. Don't like him. Don't like Bradley Cooper. But maybe that's just the roles he's played. I don't know him as a person, obviously. But, yeah, he's fine. Him as Rocket is fine. It could have been anybody, really. Anybody with a snarky New York accent, whatever they were going for. But
yeah.
But I see your point. But yeah, I actually think he's fine for Rocket. It's fine.
All right. So my number one worst casting choice in the MCU is Evan Peters as Ralph Bonner. Fake Pietro from WandaVision.
Oh, he was the first Pietro. He was the first.
Right.
Yeah.
So that makes
Quicksilver.
me mad. Because it was such a wasted opportunity, and it was so confusing, and it was so unnecessary, and I just felt trolled, and I felt...
It was a big letdown.
Almost like I was being made fun of. And especially I feel like as we talk about the multiverse, and as we talk about mutants, and as we talk about these things, it was such a wasted moment in an otherwise perfect piece of media, or an otherwise perfect piece of art was this.
Have you read anything on why they chose to do that? I've not looked into it. But
they just thought it was funny.
So it was trolling. Oh, that's
right. So Aaron
that's
Taylor,
how they explained it.
So Aaron Taylor Johnson, Pietro. So our Earth 818 Pietro's dead. Right? And that's how, and if you remember in the Halloween episode, right, that's how this fake Pietro explained it to Wanda, right? Was, she couldn't have him come back because he's dead, and that would be unsettling, and, you can't do that. So she had to have this fake Pietro come back, and that's why it felt weird to her the whole time. So, like, they could have had any actor in the world play fake Pietro. They had him play fake Pietro to confuse us, and because they were making, like I said, I felt like I was almost like being made fun of.
It was trolly. I get it.
Yeah.
And also, Agatha explains it when she reveals herself. She says, "I'm not a necromancer." Is that what she says?
Yes.
Why aren't you? You're a super witch. Why can't you bring people back from the dead? I don't know, or something, or like make him a vision of.
Yeah.
So it didn't really make sense.
Like a hologram.
I really speculated that it was a casting issue, that he couldn't do it because he was in a movie or something. But
so that's fine. If you can't get Aaron Taylor Johnson to do it, that's fine. Have Evan Peters do it, but do it right. You know what I mean? I'm not mad that it wasn't Aaron Taylor Johnson. I'm mad that it was Evan Peters and that they did it in such a goofball way.
Yeah.
That's what I'm mad about.
I was really hoping it would be Aaron. Yeah.
And then that whole part of the last episode where, like, he's got Monica tied up in the attic and, like, he's got headshots and he's an actor, and Agatha's just got him, like, under this spell to, like, mess with
so it was the troll.
Wanda. Yeah.
Troll.
It just doesn't. It was such a good opportunity. You know, it was such a good moment. It was such a good opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they just blew it, I feel like.
Agreed. But I did not see that coming. Even though you've talked about this, I truly did not see it coming.
And I just can't
yeah.
I can't get over it.
Which I guess brings us to my guess. I guess I've already given it away that I didn't get it, but I'd like to see what you say about this.
Yeah.
Scarlett
No,
Johansson.
it's a good one. It's a good one. It's a good one.
Your thoughts?
It's a good one. It is not Scarlett Johansson that I don't like about Black Widow. It is the way that she is written in those first few movies. Like, Scarlett Johansson in, like, the Black Widow movie, perfect. Perfect. Scarlett Johansson in
Iron Man 2.
Iron Man 2, super annoying. Even in, like, Winter Soldier, like, in those
annoying.
early movies, her, like, you know, earlier appearances where she's just, like, so, like, hypersexual. It's just so, ugh. It's just so annoying to me. It's so annoying to me. And
ironically, it's not sexy. Not sexy.
Yeah, right. It's like
lame.
it's like
lame.
a weird. It's like right what they like think sexy. I don't. Yeah. Right. This like silly.
I don't know who thought that was like, oh, that's how a sexy woman acts. I mean, whatever.
Yeah, with that like big curly red hair. Whatever. Yeah, where she's just so hypersexualized, and like that's how she does all of her superhero things is like by being sexy or whatever. Blech. I don't like it. So it has nothing to do with Scarlett Johansson. I like Scarlett. I mean, I like her as like an actress. It has nothing to do with her. It is just the way that character is written that irritates me.
Yeah, agreed. So that one's, yeah, that's not really a casting. It's how it was written.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Now, I mean, I guess you could argue that if they had cast a not sexy actress, that they wouldn't have done that, but that doesn't make sense either because
Yeah.
You're not allowed to be an actress if you're not sexy on some level, right? I mean, it doesn't, that's not a thing, so.
Yeah.
So, guys, that's where we're at. Those are our least favorite casting choices in the MCU. Some of them are ridiculous.
Bold.
Some of them make sense. I'm curious to know what you guys think. Do you agree? Have you thought about this? What are your reactions? What are your choices? Tell us below what your least favorite casting choices are. I'm interested. Maybe leave some comments below with your casting choices. Maybe we'll make another video where
That'd be great.
we'll react to them. We'll discuss them. That'll be fun. So let us know what you guys think. Let's fight about it. I'm ready. Mike is going to have to defend himself, though, on that one.
I'm ready for the blowback.
So, thank you guys so much for joining us. Thank you, Mike, for coming back. We love Mike on the channel. Look at that kitty tail. We love when Mike joins us. So thank you guys so much. Make sure you leave a comment and let Mike know how much you enjoy when he comes on so he keeps doing it. Okay? All right, guys. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.